And that's the lie that Satan's whispering to so many of us in this room today. Did God really tell you you couldn't do that? Did God really tell you you couldn't sleep with that boy? Or did God really tell you not to drink that drink or smoke that blunt? Did God really tell you to do so? Tell you not to do so. And so Eve questions God. And Eve eats of the fruit, and she gives it to her husband. And then the story goes on, and God comes and says, why are you hiding from me? And so many of us are in this room, we're hiding from God, and God is coming back after you. He's running towards you like the good shepherd, saying, why are you hiding from me? And Eve says, I'm naked. Adam says, I'm naked. And God says, who told you you were naked? There have been some lies whispered in our ears. And God is telling us, who told you you were fat? Who told you you were depressed? Who told you you were bound? I know the history of your family has divorce, but who told you you will end in divorce? I know you're in the cycle of addiction, but who told you I can't break that addiction? God said, who's and he says it's so the story goes on. And if I were to go back to the ship, man turned its back on God. But God never turned his back on you. God is continually in a posture of pursuit towards man. Y'all get that? God is continually in a posture of pursuit towards man. Y'all heard that song, Reckless Love? It was hot a couple years ago. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, we can finish it for me. Come on, let's hit that note. Reckless love of God, right? And he is running after us, reckless. And so if I could go back to that verse in Isaiah, it says that all of us, like sheep, have gone astray. We've gone on when we've chosen our way. We've chosen to eat that food. We've chosen to live in sin. And we left God's path because we think our path is better. We chose to follow on, yet the Lord has laid on him the sins of us all. The thing about sin is that it's not proportional. Imagine having a craving for something that you are allergic to. You know when you eat it the moment you die, the moment you eat it. Imagine that. I heard a story of a preacher whose child's hand got stuck in a pretzel jar. And the preacher was trying to get the child's hand out, but the child wouldn't let go of the pretzel because the child so desperately wanted what was in that jar. But if the child could let go, she would have freedom. And that's so many of us in here today. We're holding on to the sin. We're holding on to the depression. We're holding on to the past. We're holding on to that which enslaves us because we know the cost of freedom is a high price. And I tell you that cost is a bomb. Can y'all clap it up? Jeremiah 29:11. I'm sure you know this verse. For I know the plans I have towards you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future. The thing about this verse is if I were to tell you the context, it would blow your mind. This is when Israel is in captivity in Babylon because Israel has walked away from God and have worshipped idol after idol, have indulged in sin after sin, and God finally says, okay, I'm just going to let you go into Babylon. And God is saying this verse to Israel, I know the plans I have towards you. And there's so many of us in this room where God is speaking to. You're in slavery, you're in bondage. But I still know the plans I have towards you. You turned your back on me, but I still know the plans I have towards you, says the Lord. I know them. They're plans for good, not for disaster, to give you a future and hope. And God is telling Israel, though you wonder, I will not wonder. 70 years are going to pass, and I'm going to set you free, just like I did in Egypt. That's a promise. You're in your Egypt, you're in your Babylon. A divorce, that sin, that stress. So many of us are in our Babylon today. But if we just know the truths of this verse, even in the midst, the psalmist says, even though I walk through the valley, even in the midst of trial, even in the midst of the darkest night, the Lord is my shepherd. Can y'all clap? So many of us think God's abandoned us. many of us think God's like that? You be like that. And I pray that by the end of this message, God will so do something in you that you would come back to him. God disciplines those who he loves. The shepherds back in the day, they would break the legs of the sheep that strayed away, because the sheep were going to a path that will ultimately kill them and destroy them. And so she would wander away, and the shepherd would come by and say, no, I'm going to break your leg. She were about 70 pounds. And so the shepherd would be burdened with their weight and carrying them. This is how you know the shepherd loves the sheep. The shepherd could simply break the sheep's legs, lay it there, let it die, eat it, use it for clothing. But no, the shepherd cares for the sheep. So much so that the shepherd will carry the sheep around hundreds of miles until the sheep's legs heal. And when the legs heal, they're stronger than they were before. And the sheep will never go astray again because they've been disciplined. Don't be scared of discipline. The Lord disciplines those who need him. The sheep protects the shepherd. God is your protector. The sheep will run into wolves and bears. I mean, David was I told you he was a shepherd boy, so bears will come, lions will come, and David will destroy and demolish those animals because he loved his sheep and he was protecting them. How much more would God do for those? John 10:10. The thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy. But my purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying. God has got a plan for you, but the enemy has a plan against you. I know this so well. I'm telling you, this summer I was in the cloudiest hole I've ever been in. The darkest hole, the darkest pit I've ever been in my life. But even then, I could see a light brighter than the darkness. And even then, I could hear a roar louder than my shame. The Lord knows the plans he has for you. And the enemy is coming at you because he knows there's a call on your life. And the enemy is trying to break you and demolish you as best as he can. And he's trying to keep you in that shame as long as he can. But can I tell you, he's come to set you free. The enemy can try to kill you. The enemy can try to destroy you. But I hope you know that he has come to do it. The greater the anointing, the greater the attack. There are so many of us in here with such an anointing. This week, God really put Cassidy on my heart. Learning Cassidy. Oh, she's right there. Cassidy, I asked the team, all the team, to take us through for this stuff because I really, like you watching that video, Road Track, I really wanted to push them out to fulfill their potential. I believe that your design reveals your destiny. When you fulfill your destiny, you can live your legacy. So, Cassidy, spiritual gift says, I've been praying over this gift from the moment. And Cassidy, God really put Cassidy on my heart this week. And there's been so much going on in her life. And I know there's a call on Cassidy's life. I've never before, like I've never seen. There's a call and there's an emotion on it. But I tell you, just like I tell everyone in this room, Satan will try to do everything to destroy you before you do to your palace. Satan tried to do everything to destroy David before David got to the palace. John 10:11-14, he says, I am the good shepherd. Everyone say shepherd. Shepherd. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd sacrifices his life for his sheep. A hired hand will run when he sees wolves coming. He will abandon the sheep because they don't belong to him. And he isn't their sheep. And so the wolf attacks them and scatters the flock. The hired hand runs away because he's working only for the money and doesn't care for the sheep. But Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. Scripture says that he knows you so well, he knows every hair on your head. He knows you so well that he knows every breath you've ever breathed, every pump of blood that's ever pumped through your arteries. He knows it. He knows his sheep, and his sheep know him. The shepherd, back in the day, a shepherd spent so much time with his sheep that the shepherd could so change the tone of his voice that he could call one sheep out of 1,000. that night in the Old Testament when God was calling Samuel. God called Samuel 3 times, and the third time Samuel rose up and says, "Here, Lord, your servant is speaking." I pray that will be us in this week today. Amen? Do you know the shepherd? I'm getting ready to close. This is probably the shortest message ever preached, but I pray that it's probably. Do you know the shepherd? Do you know the shepherd? I'm telling you, I read that verse, Psalm 23. My mother had highlighted that verse in my Bible, my King James Bible. From the moment I was 7 up until 6th grade, and I read that verse every night. My mother told me to pray over that. Pray it and read it. But I did not know the shepherd. I did not know the one who David was speaking of. And many of us have heard that verse, and many of us have gone to church service after church service, and many of us have read Bible verse after Bible verse, and many of us have prayed prayer after prayer, but it's empty because we do not know the voice of the shepherd. And my cry to you today is that you would come in contact with the shepherd. Can you honestly say today that you know the shepherd that is spoken of the Son? Can you honestly say today that I know the shepherd and he can call me by name and I can come to him? More than cold, dead religion, more than rules and regulations, do you know the shepherd? I was in a class with a friend who I invited to FCA. She said, "No, I grew up in the Catholic Church and they shamed me for being gay." I'm saying that's not FCA. That's not